All right. Welcome everyone to validating business impact of AI features. We're gonna get started pretty soon here as people roll in. But I do have some questions. First question number one, in the chat, let's wake up the chat a little bit. Can you just drop in the chat if you can see this screen, if you can hear me, in bonus points if you say something other than yes. Where are you located at? I'm located in South Lake Tahoe. You can say where you're located. What's the weirdest thing on your desk right now? Oh, Vienna, Austria, in Dubai, Paris. Okay, this is a way cooler group than I thought. I was like, everyone's gonna be like, I'm in San Francisco. Oh, this is awesome. Okay. Austin, Texas. Nice. Dang, you guys had it rough lately. You guys have more snow in Austin than I have in Tahoe. Um, Belgium. This is cool.
So international.
Yeah. Oh, you guys are all like up late for us too. Is it late or early? I think you guys are later, yeah. Like 8 hours or something. More than that. 9. Okay. Dang. That's past my bedtime, Jacob, so I appreciate you coming on. Um, okay, cool. 12 a.m.? All right. You really want to validate business impact of AI features. I like it. Sweet. Okay, question number two. Okay, so I'm Sean. Um, I'm here with my colleagues, Hi and Sravia. Um, and okay, question number two. Who has no idea who we are? Who has no idea who Hi and Sravia are? Or you can say you do know who we are. Any Anyone that know, or you don't have to say anything. That's fine too. Um, so I'm Sean. I'm a principal data scientist at Entra. We're a AI legal tech company. I lead AI evaluations there for our data science team. Also, AI educator and instructor with Maven, which I assume you can all kind of figured out. So I have two courses here on Maven, AI evals for product development, which is kind of what we'll talk about today, and then another course on AI analytics for builders that I run with Hi and Sravia. It's about kind of teaching folks how to build agentic workflows and use AI tools to effectively like offload a lot of data science analytics tasks. Maybe Hi Sravia, do you want to say quick what's up to the room?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. My name is Hai. I lead data at the same company as Sean at Entra. And I've had probably almost 2 decades of experience leading data science teams across Silicon Valley big tech companies, names like LinkedIn, Pinterest, Meta, things like that.
Hi, I'm Shravya. I lead data science team in Superhuman, previously called Grammarly, and pretty excited to be here and also, having another course with this group here called AI Analytics for Builders. Yes.
Sweet. Thanks, guys. So Hi and Strawberry are going to be monitoring the chat. If you guys have questions as we go through or comments, I mean, we'll try and make it as interactive as possible, as much as you can for something like this. But got questions, drop them anytime. You can kind of like plus one or smiley face or whatever on or downvote, whatever you want to do. I don't know if you want to thumbs down someone else's question, but you can. And Hi and Stravia will monitor that and they'll stop me. Otherwise, I'll keep rambling. This is gonna run for, we've got it scheduled for 60 minutes. My next meeting's not till 1:30 Pacific, so I can stay about 30 minutes over. This might honestly go over anyways, depending on how many questions we have during it. But I want to try and get as much of your questions answered as we possibly can. So um, let's jump into it though. So yes, validating business impact of AI features. So what we're going to talk about today, um, AI evaluations, AI quality. I think a lot of folks, I assume, in this room have heard about this over the past, 6 months to a year, as a lot of these companies who are building AI products and features, who have, really like pretty cool demos, things work pretty well, start to scale their products and start to see, oh shoot, like I don't really have a measurement around like quality here. Um, so there's been a lot of kind of content, literature, and courses coming up. Actually, I think there's more. I was talking to my friend Stella the other day, who also teaches AI evals course on Maven that I recommend checking out. But we were talking about how there's so much actually content right now around like how to do AI evals, but then there's not that many people actually doing it. So a lot of the content right now is kind of focused really on that AI quality piece. Um, the focus of this is then to connect that up the chain to business impact, stuff like growth and revenue. And if you think about it, the reason for that is because come on, slide. There we go. Your CFO or your exec team, your leadership team, your investors, your customers and users, honestly, like they don't care about like your F1 score or precision or recall or like your success rate of like some obscure a slice of like an error analysis of like, oh, my we increased the precision for this very bespoke part of the product to answer this question by 3%. Like, no one cares about that besides like the team that's directly working on that. And what they really care about, like all those people, I mean, like leadership, execs, investors, like they care about realistically, you know, did this increase profit? How much did it increase risk? Because they're trying to make a lot of decisions around investment and prioritization. Users, what do they care about? They really just care about you made their life easier, you made their life better, you provided them some value. And so the critical answers, the critical questions we really want to answer as we think about AI evaluation and evaluation of products in general is not just like this quality aspect, but what changed in the product, um, what changed for users, and what changed for business. So I want to get a little idea of like what's where everyone's at today. So what I'd like to do is if you could kind of drop in the chat a one, two, or three here. And now I'll tell you what these kind of relate to. So drop in a one if you're, and this doesn't have to be like you're with your team at some big company building shipping AI features. It could be a personal project, a passion project, whatever. But drop in a one if you're kind of building or playing with or developing some sort of AI feature, but you don't really have like a metric or metric suites to understand like is the quality good or not. And then if you got two, two is like okay, you got the quality metric but you don't really know like, okay, I tweak this change, the quality went up, but I don't actually know how that translated to dollar actual value. And then number three is like you got features you're building, you understand quality, you have comments. Okay, ones and twos. I expect a lot of ones and twos. If you have if you're some threes, then you can help me lead this session. That would be great. Cool. Yeah.
Doing one and two.
One, two is great. There's also zero. There's zero's okay too. Zero's like I'm here. I'm not building something yet, and I want to learn. One and twos are really good. Um, so let's talk about kind of those different levels though. Our goal today is to provide you with a framework, a simple framework, to go from level one to level two to level three. So if you're level one, you're going to climb all the way up. If you're level two, you're going to get up to three. We're trying to get you from level one, which is where you don't have the data quality metrics. So you're effectively kind of shipping blind in a way, right? It's hard to make kind of confident decisions around investments in a company around AI features when you don't have any sort of measurement around the quality because you're not sure like what to work on. The rough thing, honestly, with shipping blind is like you will get AI quality feedback, but it's going to come in the form of qualitative feedback from customers and users. Usually, the people who give you that qualitative feedback are like the pissed off ones. So it's like it's not going to be fun. And then in the worst case scenario, it's going to come in the form of like a user or a churning user, So shipping blind, it's like building's like the first stage, obviously, but we really want to get to level two. Level two, I think a lot of the existing content and curriculum around AI evaluation out there right now is getting folks from level one to level two. It's really, a really important step. You need that before you go to level three. Level two, you're like AI quality confident. You're iterating and developing offline and seeing quality go up. Um, but then when you ship it out, like you're not actually sure like in like a month or 3 months or 3 quarters, like what this actually do to our bottom line? Did it expand users? Did we acquire more users because of it? Did we get better retention? Did we increase our profits? So that just makes it hard because with every company, there's, tons of things we could be investing in. We could be investing in AI features. We could be investing in UX. We could be building new products. We could be iterating on existing products and features. It's really hard to make those decisions and calls when we don't know when what we built is good enough yet. A lot of that can be achieved by validating up to like business impact. And so level three, uh, not a lot of folks are at level three today, not just in this room, but like in the entire industry. Um, and even companies where like they are at level three, they're at level three at like a few features of like many features, like huge companies like Metas and stuff like that. Like they're at level three for some stuff, but not everything. And this is where you can like really confidently connect your like AI improvements to business outcomes. So that's where we want to get you today. Um, and the framework we're going to use to get there is something that we call the AI impact chain. So this framework, uh, there's 4 links in this chain that bring you from like an AI feature change to eventually revenue, maybe revenue via some other business outcomes. But there's kind of 4 links in this chain. Uh, there's your feature change, the first link. Then there's AI quality. Then there's customer value. And then there's business impact. It's not super mind-blowing, crazy chain. Has anyone kind of like seen anything like this before? You can drop in the chat, yes or no, any sort of like this sort of chain from feature change all the way up to business impact with some of these links in between. Okay, that's good. Then we're here to learn. So you need every single link in this chain to get from feature change to business impact. Anything that's missing here, and you're just kind of guessing what your business impact is, or what your customer value is, what your quality is. Yes, formula pyramid, maybe like North Star metric pyramid, where you have kind of like your business impact, your North Star metric, which is kind of customer value, input metrics at the bottom, which is like what AI quality in this. Yeah, Kitesh, good call out. So if you get all these links to hold together, or whatever, if your whole pyramid is in place, I like chains of pyramid because you can break a chain, and I don't know, pyramids like I don't know how that you could have missing things. But if it all holds together, then you're proving with evidence and some level of confidence that whatever feature change you're making to your AI product or feature there is actually leading to some business impact in the long term. Okay, why is this important? So why can't we just have feature chain AI quality? So AI quality is not necessarily customer value. It's kind of like you think I would think it is like quality customer value goes hand in hand. But if we kind of really think about what types of metrics these are, it becomes very clear how they cannot be connected. So when I think about quality metrics, and there's probably more than this, but if I were to roll it up into like 3 categories, and today we're not going to go into how to create quality metrics, but we did a free workshop about a month ago, and you can go to dataneighbor.com and you can watch the recording of that if you want. It's called Redesigning Product Metrics for AI Features. Um, AI quality metrics, they kind of take these 3 forms, I think. There's like correction rate. So this is like your AI output. How close did you get to what the user actually wanted? And so it's kind of like could be like an edit distance. It's usually like a range from 0 to something, maybe 0 to 1, 0 to 100, whatever. But it's like some kind of like closeness metric of how close you're getting to what they want. Acceptance rate. This is more of like a 0, 1. Like, is the output you did, is the output your product created um, accepted by the user? Or they say like, oh, this is 100% good. Move on to the next step in my life. That's like a proportion usually. It's like, okay, 70% of the output was just like one shot good for the user. And then there's error rate. You, if you've kind of read some of the existing AI eval literature out there or some of the other courses out there, they spend a lot of time focusing on error rates through like error analysis. It usually takes the form of working with a subject matter expert, creating some ground truth, going through and annotating a bunch of AI output, identifying in through those annotations categories of things that went wrong, and then forming like precision or precision recall F1 accuracy metrics around like, are we reducing these very specific types of errors? It's kind of more like debugging, I would say, similar to like ML ops debugging. Really important. It's extremely diagnostic. It can help you get better customer value. It can help you increase your acceptance rate and your correction rate. That's just one very small piece of the puzzle. And these three things do not necessarily mean customer value metrics. So when I talk about customer value metrics, depends on the product. Say, like we're going to talk mostly about kind of like SaaS product today, or more like a kind of like a workflow product where it's like, hey, we're just trying to make someone's life easier, trying to offload some of their work for them, automate it, or make it faster. Obviously, there's other types of value you can provide, like, I don't know, Netflix or social media or something like that, where it's like engagement, entertainment based. We're not really gonna get into that mostly because I don't like social media that much. But customer value metrics. So today we'll talk about like time to finish a task. That's like a very clear workflow customer value. Are we speeding up something that would take you longer before? That's success. That's customer value. Um, Task success rate. It's like just like you go into your job, you're trying to get something done, you succeed or you fail. Are we increasing the number of times you succeed? Is our product increasing the amount of times you're successful? These are more around like kind of customer value metrics. And so you can kind of see where you could end up with AI quality metrics, especially around, say, like error rates, but also correction rates, like error rates for sure, where it's like our output is, I don't know, constantly saying that the sky is turquoise when it should say the sky is blue. That's an error. Let's like fix that. But the customer for whatever product is, this is a terrible example, but maybe they don't really care about that distinction at all. That doesn't actually give them a negative or positive experience. But in terms of your output and error rate, that does could show up as a metric. And there's many different metrics that can show up like that. You can also have like not just like wrong metrics around AI quality, but like over optimized, like trying to make them perfect. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. Like a correction rate, for instance, um, you don't have to get to 100% one shot all the time. Sometimes, like humans, like sometimes they want to like hold the reins and like know they have some control over what they're doing too. Maybe you just have to get to 70%, and that's what gets you the incremental customer value. Effectively, quality metrics, they only matter as so long as they are providing incremental customer value. And so you have to have that connection in the chain. Customer value then um, only matters if it, okay, we should always bring our customers and users value, but there are ways we can create customer value or user value product metrics that don't actually reflect true value in the real world and don't actually consequentially lead to business impact. Like an example of this would be something like a lot of companies might over optimize for say like engagement. So uh, like Amazon probably definitely doesn't do this because they have their shit together. But I was on Amazon a couple of weeks ago. I recently bought this like Uni pizza oven. I don't know if you all have heard of these things. They're kind of like wood fire or gas pizza ovens to like try and make like those Italian style pizzas is like one of my things I'm trying to learn this year. And so for these pizza ovens, you have to have this thing called a peel, which is like basically a big paddle, metal or wood paddle with a stick on it, and you like shove your pizza in, and then you take it out, and you're like, oh, it's like kind of burnt, and like turn it around, put it back in, out and in, because this thing's super hot. It's like 900 degrees Fahrenheit. And so I'm like, okay, I gotta get this freaking pizza peel thing. And I go on Amazon, and like, it's just crazy. Like there's like ones that are $15, and then there's ones that are like $125, and they have tons of reviews. There's like hundreds of these things. I don't know which one to buy. So to them on the back end, it's like, oh, this dude's like really highly engaged with our site. He's going all over clicking on things, but really I'm just kind of lost and I don't know what to buy. Anyone ever kind of experienced that in terms of metrics where they have created some sort of user value metric that they think kind of like is reflective of engagement's a big one of something good behavior the user's having, but it's actually like a bad behavior? Anyone run into? I know Hi and Stravia. We have both run into that because we worked together at a company where that happened many a time. Um, so this is kind of like where business impact comes in because uh, it's really, really easy to make up messy metrics. We're actually going to do a free workshop on this. It's called Designing Metrics That Matter with Hi. I think it's like February 18th. Again, go to dataneighbor.com. You can kind of see this. I would just say go to davidneighbor.com and in another window right now, or hi if you want to drop in the chat, because I'm gonna like throw out these names of other free workshops that are upcoming. You can check it out, see if there's something that resonates with you. Usually treat moving one step ahead in the journey as positive. Yeah, exactly. Time spent is like one of those things just like it's so tricky. It's like, no, we want to decrease time, but then there's all these platforms that also want to increase it. But yeah, that's a good point, Kitesh. I think moving through task success and getting through the workflow is definitely like a very positive thing. So I'm very, very sure that Amazon's not optimizing on how much time someone's on the page. It's probably like add to cart, put in your billing checkout cart. It's probably what they're more optimizing on, but just an example. So business impact metrics are really important because they can validate if your customer value metrics are good or not. You can correlate those, you can identify causal relationships, and you can see, oh, if this customer value metric is going up or down, what's it doing to my business impact metric, my business outcome in the long run? If those are also going up, that's probably a good sign. Like if you're moving customer value in such a way that you're expanding like the seats of a SaaS product or retaining through like increased renewal rates or getting more revenue per account, or if you're lowering costs or reducing the need for like your CS time on cases, that's like a really good signal that you are truly providing customer value. It's just very tricky because it's a lagging indicator, which is why you need this uh, kind of four links in your chain to get from like the very leading indicators around feature changes all the way to that lagging indicator and business impact. Um, Common failure modes. So this is just kind of stuff that comes up that like it seems like they're positive sentiments, but you'll can end up being getting a lot of pushback on it if you don't have numbers to back it up. So things like, hey, the model got better, AI quality seemed to increase because of these metrics, but I've definitely been questioned by leadership where it's like, what does that actually mean for the users though? Or like, so how good is it? Like, how where do we have to get it to where the users are going to be happy with it? Um, Users seemed happier. Like if you get like a bunch of qualitative feedback, that could be like highly biased. You know, it depends who you're talking to. For instance, if you have like hand raisers who are like in a beta or something that you're talking to, um, maybe they don't want to be as negative with you. Again, like makes it still really hard to make like investment resourcing, prioritization decisions just based off like users seem happier. Um, and then kind of like other side of the spectrum, if you don't connect back the chain, if you say like, oh, like our uh, revenue increased or our expansion growth increased, basically like you run into these scenarios where a lot of people like take credit for those situations, right? It's like, okay, was it your feature change that increased revenue? Was it another team's feature change that increased revenue? It's really hard because it's super lagging. This would be like 3 quarters later. Marketing sales, like, oh, we did these marketing campaigns. That increases sales. Like, oh no, we like really like grinded. Like we were the ones who increased revenue. Um, well, sometimes it has nothing to do with the company at all. I worked at a company. We were Shravi and I worked at this company next door. It's a neighborhood social media app, and I remember there's multiple times where uh, suddenly super engaged. Everyone's like daily active users, posting everywhere. It's ad supported, so we're getting a bunch of revenue from this. Everyone's claiming like, oh, this thing I did like a few weeks ago and rolled out, that must have done it. There's like a campaign going on. And then like every time it was like an ice storm in Texas. Um, yeah, we had a dude from Austin here. Like it's like I bet you next door blew up this past week. Um, so it's just like seasonality, external events. A lot of stuff can move that. So you really have to have a strong understanding of this change. Feature change, what do we ship? AI quality, did they applicate better? Customer value, did users complete work faster or better? Business impact. Did profit improve without increasing risk? So pretty straightforward framework. That's like the thing with frameworks, right? It's like once you see them, it's like, oh yeah, it's like, of course, that's like a no-brainer how we should think about that. If a framework is like convoluted and hard to understand, it's not a good framework. But also the thing with frameworks is like when we don't have them, it's kind of really hard to just like piece it together from nothing because we're all focused on a lot of other stuff. We're all focused, like a lot of us are focusing on feature change AI quality. It's really hard to find time to think about customer value. And then if you get these 3 parts of change, it's really hard to find the time to carve out for business impact. So fairly straightforward concept, as most frameworks are. All right, about 30 minutes in, we'll keep chugging. I want to walk through this in terms of a kind of example here. So in this example, let's imagine that we are all on a team building a product. It is a agentic AI data scientist, analyst, converts like text to SQL. And the reason I picked this is because we have a whole course on this, AI Analytics for Builders. Hi, and Sravia and I actually, on the side, we also do this podcast called Data Neighbor. Maybe how you can drop the YouTube link in there or something. But the past few months, we've interviewed a bunch of CEOs and leaders and VPs of like BI and agentic AI, agentic analytics companies, much like what we're going to talk around here. So if you're kind of interested in this space, a little different than AI evaluations, but around agentic analytics, um, check out our podcast over the next couple months. Every week we'll be releasing an interview with people from like the VP of Tableau to like CEOs of like startups in the space like LiveDocs and Count to a bunch of stuff in between. All right, but back to our use case. So we have this AI data analyst text to SQL product. If we think about it from the user workflow side, the user goes in, they ask a question in chat box. AI writes some SQL, presents it to the user. They check if it's good or not. If it is, it runs the query, then it develops a chart, and then it exports that chart. And the user has this nice answer to his question or her question in chart form. They can share it with someone else as evidence or whatever it's needed for. Maybe it's like, um, yeah, there's a very important customer talking to uh, an account executive and they need to like get chart really fast for them. That's definitely happened to me in the past. Um, so there's many steps for like failure in this. So I could a user could write the question and then it could return SQL, but it could be totally wrong, right? Wrong like group bys, wrong tables it pulls from, wrong information it just pulls. It could get it right, but it could have syntax errors, so it doesn't actually run. It could get it right and run, but the chart could be total trash and just like not be helpful at all. So now I have to go take this data and like go into like Excel or Tableau or whatever, make my own chart. Maybe I have to go back and forth and like edit the query myself, ask the question a different way, or I can go perfectly, I can ask a question and get my chart and be on my way. It's like a seat-based, we're going to say like it's a seat-based model. So, for every additional seat we get for people in within an account who are able to use this product at like for our customers, we get our $200 a month. And the current state, what's happening right now, is that there's a new version of this. There's a V2 um, of this text-to-SQL AI analyst. And what we all need to do right now is figure out if we're going to roll out V2. And so I'll tell you a little about V1 versus V2. V1, it's like direct SQL generation. There's no kind of planning step involved. There's no really grounding in like the existing data warehouse schemas or anything or context around that. No validation, just kind of like does a single loop thing. And because there's not like this planning step or like validation step, it's like a lot lower compute. Uh, V2, this new thing we're trying to roll out, there's some reasoning steps when it generates the SQL. It actually creates a plan before it generates SQL. So like maybe it figures out like, hey, here's all the different CTEs I'll have to get to. Here's things I'll have to filter out. Um, there's more context around the existing schemas in the data warehouse. And there's another agent that like does a double check, validates, repairs a SQL. Obviously, a lot higher compute. So let's imagine we're all, remember those level one, two, three. Level one, we're building shipping. Level two, we know AI quality. Level three, we know about business impact. Let's all imagine we're level one right now. What do you guys think? Right now, this feature V2, it's out to 5% of people. Um, you kind of know some stuff about it. Or do we want to roll it out to more people? Do we want to roll it back? We want to stay at 5%? V2, V1, I guess drop in the chat. Which would you which would you prefer right now? V2? V2 sounds pretty nice. Very smart. Okay. Let's get a little more information about V2 and V1. So we won't get any quality yet, but we do have some latency figures. So latency is how long it goes from this first step, ask a question, to AI writes SQL. How long does that take? V1, it took about 30 seconds, and then V2, it now takes 2 minutes. And latency is really important because you can imagine yourself in a position, kind of like what I said, like maybe like there's some customer that's going to churn. It's your biggest customer, and customer support's talking to them, or the AE is talking to them, and they're chatting with the CEO, and the CEO is like, what do they want? They're like, I don't know. They have all these data asks. They have all these things they're asking us for right now. Like we just got to give them what they want, make them happy. And the CEO is now going to the product teams and be like, you need to pull this data for me. And like you're in the middle of building something else right now. Um, from the customer point of view. And so the customer wants to use this AI analyst to like pull that data for the person who's complaining. Um, yeah, the longer it takes, like the more kind of pissed off they're going to be. What do you guys think now? So we know that the response time, we added a bunch of kind of planning stages and validation, but now it takes 4 times longer to answer the question. Yes, and we got V1. It's kind of like what did it say? It's like you can compete on speed, quality, price. Like speed's important. Maybe V1 with contextual questions for V2. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Oh man. Rodion, you're skipping like 5 slides, man. You're skipping to the next chain. I gotta build these examples first. But yeah, user experience, I think we know where it's going. All right. But we'll play along for a little while. Okay, so it took longer, but then check this out. So it took longer to get that initial query running, but then the user edits per query. So let's say we go back to our little flow here, ask a question, AI writes SQL. The amount of times someone has to like go back and re-ask the question or kind of edit the SQL and try to run it again, um, that decreases significantly. So you used to have to go back and re-ask your question like on average like 2.5 times. Um, and then now it's taking like way less times to go back. So like it does take longer to get uh that initial response, but it's a lot closer to a one shot. What do we think now? Yeah, good comments in here. I mean, the duration is about the same thing, right? Yeah, it's like, yep. Reasoning adds a check. Yep. Tish, add a context, tables, columns, plus V1. Yep. All right, I'm going to skip through a couple of these ones as we build up. So let's say now we get into like, it takes less edits to go back and forth, even though it takes a bit longer. We find that maybe like the syntax errors are a little more, so you have to go back and tweak those. And then what you kind of have here is you have your kind of like completion, that completion rate when I talk about how close you can get to it. You have kind of your acceptance rate. How often does it just like actually run through? And then now we're getting into some of those like error rate metrics, something like the precision of on a customer support question. These are like the kind of things where like you have a golden ground truth data set and you've gone through and annotated and figure out like we categorize these types of questions as customer support questions. How does it perform on them? And we actually find that in V1, um, it got it right 50% of the time, like exactly. But on V2, it gets it right 25%. So 50% increase in the amount of times it's getting these customer support questions right. What do we think now, V1 versus V2? Yeah. Quality question with ways to just get a number. Yeah. We definitely need to figure out one number. We have too many numbers going. This is like kind of like the challenging thing with quality metrics is that like especially the error analysis metrics, they are never ending. You'll constantly be in the iterative loop of expanding your kind of failure modes, and you could just end up with an unlimited list, and you really have to assign some sort of weights and prioritize them. So, love what I'm seeing in the chat. And then, we'll stop playing this game, but like you could imagine like maybe the customer support questions it gets a lot better at, but then the finance questions it gets worse at for some reason. Like it used to like finance questions are hard. Like there's all these industry um, you know, financial calculations, but then within a company there's definitely internal interpretations of all those metrics. You just filter them and edge case like the hell out of like financial metrics. And so maybe it actually gets worse at those. And now in this situation, actually, it's pretty interesting because you'll end up with like a team of people like customer support that could look at a readout that you have on AI quality metrics and they're like, hell yeah, ship V2. Like this is going to save me a bunch of time. And then finance is like, no way. Are you insane? Like we have to report those numbers out publicly. Like we're not going to use this at all. If you just decreased it to 30%, 40% already kind of sucked. So, yeah, I think a couple of you got it in like the very beginning, but like you need to get to that customer value. So hopefully that kind of drove the point home a bit. That's why customer value is important. It's like it breaks that tie and it helps you prioritize which of these metrics is really important. Best way to do that's going to be an A/B test. There's other ways to do it too. So like I hear questions before, and we'll talk about this more, but there's other ways we can kind of find these relationships too without an A/B test. But let's see like V1, V2, or V1, the time from to correct try export. So from the question to exporting used to take 12 minutes, now takes 3 minutes. V2 accelerated chart export workflow by 4 times, really reducing time. Yeah, exactly, Meredith. Yeah, cost is a huge one we should put in here. hmm And I don't know what's going to happen with like the AI industry and all these like proprietary models, but like I know a lot of them are operating at losses right now, so I don't know like how expensive this stuff gets down the line. So keeping an eye on transaction costs is really important. Yeah, so what do you think? V2? V2 ROI for the win. Yes. Okay. So really cool thing about A/B tests. It's that tiebreaker there for sure. What's actually even cooler about it, I think, and comes into this whole chain thing, is if you do enough A/B tests, um, you can actually start to form the relationship, understand the relationship with confidence, statistical confidence between those AI quality metrics and your customer value metrics. So we're actually gonna, I don't have time to go over all that today. As you see, we're already 40 minutes in. I will stay over for questions though. Um, so we still have some stuff to get through in the next 20 minutes. Um, we're going to have a session just focused on this, designing experiments for AI features, February 19th, totally free workshop, pretty similar. We'll do today. If you want to join that, if you're liking this so far, take out your phone, yeah, scan the QR code or go to bit.ly experiment AI, and that will get you to our sign up page. You can kind of read about it. It's like the same sign up page for this one. So you can tell me if you're interested in it. But what we're going to try and get there, talk about there, teach you how to do, is basically say like we can now know with confidence that say like when we decreased edits by 87.5%, like this metric back here, user edits per query average, maybe that had like we run many A/B tests over time. We can draw the conclusion that like that actually is a thing that decreased the workflow time by 75%, that 4x'd it. Maybe these other ones, like SQL syntax rate or response latency, had no effect on customer value at all. And so with enough A/B tests, you're able to kind of like form those relationships, which is pretty cool because now you should still run the A/B test, but you can effectively uh, run your offline AI quality evals and then predict what you believe the customer value will be when you eventually run an A/B test. Um, Question I get a lot here is should we just run A/B tests then? No, don't skip the AI quality stuff. You still need that because I'm sure you've heard this many a time. This output from this stuff is like non-deterministic, right? It's like it can feel like you're locked in with the output sometimes, and other times it feels like you're just like pulling a slot machine. So you don't just want to release this stuff out in the wild. AI quality metrics are extremely important guardrails when you're developing early before you get something in the customer. And then once you get those to a place that you're comfortable, it all depends on the cost and risk as well. You can release that and do an A/B test. You can find those relationships earlier so you know like how high you need to get that up before you do a A/B test. We'll talk more about that at the end as well. And obviously we'll have this whole deep dive. Yeah, so bit.ly experiment AI. No, probabilistic, non-deterministic. Yeah, it's like the same. I mean, yeah, good question. Um, Now you have me thinking. I mean, non-deterministic in a sense, like you really don't know what it's gonna say. I guess if you like tweaked the temperature and everything of the models, then you could get to probabilistic, but in some ways I feel like it is like non-determinable. But I use them interchangeably. Right. So we've gotten to customer value, we've gotten to feature change, AI quality, customer value. This tells us if we want to ship a feature or not. But we still have to find that last piece in the chain Um, business impact, can we validate it? How do we understand if that feature change we're making is impacting the business? This is really hard to do because it's a lagging indicator. It could be months, it could be quarters. Um, that's why like we don't ship like we're not going to wait 3 quarters to ship something. We ship off customer value. Um, because we can measure that in days or weeks. We can measure AI quality and however long it takes you to get the output, could be minutes or seconds. Um, but we still want to know like what business impact is because it helps us with investments. So basically, what I think about AI quality and customer value and business impact, I think about AI quality I use in development. It helps me know if I want to test this with customers, get it in front of them. Customer value tells me that I'm testing it in customers in production. It lets me know if I want to roll it out or ship it to everyone else. And then business outcomes, business impact. This tells me what do I want to invest in and prioritize next with respect to the product as a whole. Lots of gray area and overlap between those things, but that's kind of like the three kind of ways I think about it. And the way we do this, business impact, is something called causal inference. A/B tests are a form of a causal inference. They're actually like the gold standard of causal inference, but there's many other methods of causal inference. Stuff like, I don't know if any of these sound familiar, but like regression discontinuity design, difference in difference regression, panel regression, lots of regression. Regression and econometrics has been around for a long, long time. People have been doing this stuff. Double bias machine learning, propensity score matching, coarse and exact matching. There's lots of different models of around causal inference. But what the output effectively gets you is learning the relationship between an input and an output. So in this case, we have our customer value. We can ignore AI quality and stuff for now. We have customer value that we have, yeah, R is like a economists or econometricists dream. Yeah, I started in R too, but I went to the dark side of Python. Um, measuring customer value, we know this. We know that we reduced 12 to 3 minutes. Now we want to learn the relationship between that and some sort of business outcome that we can translate into revenue. Regression allows us to make that translation. So in this case, we talked in the beginning that each seat that we get into an account gives us another $200 a month for the product. So we're going to try and learn the relationship between uh, that time to correct chart export to the number of seats will get gained by an account that month. This is like made up, but this is like how it works basically. Like the coefficient, like in this case, we could say something like every 1 minute faster, we get someone to export a chart, we expect to gain 5 more seats. This would kind of be the output of those causal inference models. Um, and if you think through this, why does this like make sense? Well, if I can get data faster, I can make decisions faster. If I can be more confident and make decisions faster, then I can acquire more of my own customers or make my customers happy or divert that time that I spent on making decisions or finding data to building other products. And so now I'm willing to buy more seats of this AI analyst tool because uh, every additional person I have doing this, offloading that analytics and problem solving work that they had to do themselves before, uh, is now able to effectively give me more time, resources, and money to put and invest elsewhere in my business. So you can see, just like anything, as they make that product better, as we make the product better around faster, we could probably expect increases in like expansion of our existing customer base at this like seat per account level. And then after you have that, it just becomes a math equation. Like once you have that coefficient that's output by the causal inference model, you can do something like, okay, uh, well, if we get 5 more seats per 1 minute faster export, and we increased exports by 9 minutes, then we get 45 seats more per account. Say we have 100 accounts, that's 4,500 seats. We know that a seat is $200 per month. So that translates to 900,000 monthly recurring revenue additional. And then if we bring that out to the whole year, now we're at like $10.8 million in incremental annual recurring revenue. And you can put confidence intervals on this. This is obviously like made up. I don't know if people are going to spend, I don't know, $200 a seat for this, but uh, ChatGPT Pro and all these companies do charge something like that. Um, so you can put confidence intervals like it's statistics. It's like a distribution. So maybe it's like in a range of like 8.6 to 13 million ARR. But what's really cool here is now because you've connected that chain, um, we're able to like discern what the customer value impact is on the business, and then we can move even higher up to the AI feature change. So I rattled off a bunch of names of causal inference models. Obviously can't teach causal inference right now. Um, we are going to have another free workshop on that on February 26th. Um, and yeah, that first number is Raj is like what would come out of our causal inference model. 1 minute to 5 seats, 1 minute to 1 seat, 1 minute to 0.25 seats. But that is the crucial number. When you can get that, when you can control for all the other variables that are impacting the acquisition of more seats, when you can understand like the relationship in all of the pieces, steps between like we increased their speed that they got this answer. This person made decisions faster. Making that decisions faster made their manager happy. That manager said, "Hey, we need to get this tool for more people." Finance approved it. Like when we can like figure out all that links through a model like this, the rest is just simple math. So we're gonna go into actually what all those types of models are at a high level. I'll probably go like three, four of them, maybe like panel regression, diff and diff, and like propensity score matching or something. If there's certain models you want to learn about, you can drop them in the chat and I can think about changing it too. But take out your phone, scan the QR code, check that one out. Bitly Causal AI, that'll be in late February. Um, and yeah, why this matters, like when you get this whole chain now, when you can identify all those relationships, when you can do enough A/B tests or causal inference analyses to understand with some level of confidence the difference, the relationship between your AI quality metric and your customer value metric, and your customer value metric and your business impact, then you can literally change a feature, get your AI quality evaluation output metrics. That takes you like that's just how long it takes for your eval pipeline to run. That could literally be minutes. And then you're just forecasting with those coefficients, and you can begin to make predictions of like, hey, this small tweak I made to this feature change may have this huge $10 million impact on the company in the long run. Um, if we want to like get that, let's put more headcount in this area, or let's stop focusing on these other things and work on this feature. So it's extremely helpful for investment and prioritization decisions to get this full length through. And kind of went over this, but like I said from the beginning, the CFO doesn't care about your F1 score. Leadership doesn't care about that. This is what they care about. This is like the slide they want to see. They don't want to see um, just the edits went from 2.4 to 0.3. They want to see how much do we predict within some interval, some confidence interval. Our AR will go up. How did you calculate that? Oh, this is how 4,500 seats went up. Why are the seats going up? Oh, because we made it 4 times faster. Awesome. Um, this is what you want to be able to report or predict or forecast. And there's definitely uncertainty around it, but it's how you get from level one, where you're shipping completely blind, to level two, where you have some idea around call metrics, all the way to level 3, where you can like begin to really have some forecasts around the business impact. Okay, we have 5 minutes left. I'll stay up to 30 minutes over, and depending on how many questions we have. But if you enjoyed this, obviously mentioned a few of those things we have coming up: designing experiments for AI features, Feb 19, designing metrics that matter, Feb 18. Um, was there one causal inference analysis for AI features, Feb 26 or something like that, into February? Check those out. We have like 10 or 11 other workshops. We got some really cool ones actually planned. We have some ones around doing the experimentation analysis itself, uh, leveraging AI. We have some really cool ones about like running analysis or designing analysis um, with Claude Code. I have one around like building custom annotation tools to um, help you create those error analysis kind of metrics. A bunch of other stuff. Go to dataneighbor.com. Hi, just put it in the chat. Check them out. Sign up for whatever you want. Um, Also, we have, in addition to all those free resources, we have a 6-week cohort. We're going to kick this off in April, where we are going to deep dive into AI evals from all the way from just like observability, instrumentation to making decisions with like your leadership team and everything in between. So think developing ground truth, looking at offline versus online evaluations, of course, getting into the running experience, going really deep into causal inference, all the like common kind of failure modes you run into. How do you get this into like a CI/CD pipeline? How do you yeah, constantly like iterate and improve on what you're working on here. So that'll be a 6-week cohort. Starts April 6th. Uh, you can check it out at aieval.ai, aieval.ai, or you can just take out your phone right now, scan the QR code. It's usually $1,500. Discount if you use this promo code BizImpact. This is valid for a week, so through Feb 5. It's 30% off, so knocks off about $500. Um, I do find that people like they want to sign up and then it kind of like they forget about it later. So if you're really interested and you want to sign up immediately, I'll give you an extra 10% off today if you sign up by midnight PT. And just for reference, like Maven, if Maven has like a satisfaction guaranteed kind of thing, so you can actually drop the course 2 weeks in and get a full refund, or any time between now and then, if something comes up. And if you have to do something like get budget approval or something from your work, like I don't know, we're all like humans here. Like I can extend the promo for you. Just DM me on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, Sean Butler, or you can email me, Sean at aieval.ai. You're probably saying that says Shane at aieval.ai. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's pronounced Sean, spelled Shane. That's my little sales pitch, but I do want to go into a couple questions. I can stick around for 30 minutes. We can talk about anything we talked about here today. We can talk about the course. We can talk about those upcoming sessions. A couple of common questions I do get. I have them here in another tab. I actually want to pull up because I feel like these come up a lot. One I get a lot is around like, hey, I can't run an A/B test. I don't have enough users, or my leaders are like really. Oh yeah, there'll be a recording, of course. Sorry, I should have said it. I'll send out a recording. I'll send out this promo code and stuff in the recording too. Um, and yeah, just yeah. And if I forget for some reason, I won't forget. I think it's like automated, but you can just DM me or email me, and I'll get you what you need. Um, so some people say like we can't do an A/B test because either we don't have enough users, Well, first of all, you have to have some users. So if you're in the stage where you're building a product but you don't have customers or users yet, um, on one hand, that's kind of rough because you can't calculate business impact. But on the other hand, it's like that's kind of good. You can just focus on AI quality at that stage because you can't understand user impact without impacting users. And if you don't have users, you can't impact them. So AI quality is going to be like your focus there. And then you're just going to get some early users and do more of kind of like qualitative user research discussions with them early on. Don't focus as much on the metrics at that stage. Does usage per user matter? Because if it's high, then maybe you don't need too many. Yeah, exactly. It's all like it depends when you run your experiment, what you're going to, like have your exposure on. If say like you're want to know like the average time to export per user, then you kind of have to have a lot of users because you have to hit uh, you have to have a representative sample of like the population of people you want. If you're looking at something like time to export per page visit, then you could use less users, but the problem with like not having a lot of users is like, and you have a power user, is you end up biasing just to how they act. So I would say like you actually in the case where if you have like not that many users and you have some that just like use it a lot, you may even want to be like segmenting that out and be like, this is how it affects high usage users. This is how it affects low usage users. That's a good question though. Something else you can do, just like the causal modeling from customer value to business impact, you can do causal modeling from AI quality to customer value. So an A/B test, an experiment, is just a form of causal inference. It's like the gold standard because it really controls for everything. But there is still some uncertainty in there. There is still some randomness associated with it. Um, but if you can't A/B test because you don't have enough users and it's going to take you like, you know, 3 or 6 months to get enough events to like reach power and confidence in your results, then what you can do instead is do a causal inference. You can basically backfill all of your AI quality metrics like 6 months, and then you can do your causal inference relationship between that historic data to come up with what the relationship be. It's not as accurate as an A/B test, but it is a totally acceptable kind of replacement for that. And some folks, like, it's not just like if you don't have enough users, it's like if you're risk averse. So I work in legal tech, it's like very, buttoned up industry, banking, finance, health, a lot of that stuff, like, really, like, you kind of don't want to just like throw stuff out there. There's a lot of risk associated with it. And so doing causal inference before the A/B test, you can still do an A/B test, but have this kind of like higher confidence causal inference up before it for really big changes that you're not sure about, is a nice helpful way to do that. Another question I get is around like leadership or only cares about like latency and cost, um, which are both really important, right? We talked about price, quality, speed. So yeah, price and speed, latency and cost, those are huge. The way I approach that is basically go into the building of your features with some agreement and contract around like established guardrails. Like, hey, we're not going to go above this latency. We're not going to go above this cost because we know uh, it's basically like the business can't handle that. It's like not an option. And then, yeah, no problem, Jacob. Yeah, no problem, Kitish. Um, Looking forward to seeing you guys in future sessions. Um, so I go in there, I have those guardrails, and then that way later on, even if latency or cost increases, you can reframe the discussion around like, hey, yeah, it increased, but we are below the guardrails. So rather than focusing on that increase, let's focus on the ROI with respect to the incremental gain in customer value. and the incremental gain and business impact. Um, Latency is just a one proxy for time, right? Like resolution time is like the real outcome, like we saw here, like the time from question to export. Um, Another question is around instrumentation. This is a lot of metrics. AI quality is a lot of metrics. Customer value is a lot of metrics. Business impact is a lot of metrics. Um, the other like stuff that's not even there, like more like the system metrics around like latency and cost and stuff like that. That's a lot of metrics. All that eventing stuff takes a lot of upfront investment. We are going to have in our course an entire week dedicated to instrumentation and operational not operations observability. That's like the first or second week. I think it's the second week of the cohort. And so we'll be talking about how we set that up from the system to the AI quality to the customer value to the business impact, how we can plan and design plans and work with teams to make sure we get all of that kind of like eventing and tracking um, ready up front. That makes the rest of this analysis possible. Uh, Unrelated, our other course, actually, I just thought of this AI analytics for builders. There's actually going to be lessons on how do you use agentic workflows to create tracking specs. So if you're doing AI evals and you want to try and automate some of the AI evals with agentic workflows, take both courses. Actually, someone yesterday signed up for both, but that was pretty cool. We're going to be spending a lot of time together in April with that dude. All right. What other questions? Is there kind of some of the first ones I usually get? Any other questions in the chat or from people in the audience? Hi, do you got any questions? Anything I didn't mention? I keep hanging around here. If folks want to go to aieval.ai or scan the QR code and take a look at the syllabus and be like, what's this week talking about? Feel free to do that. Or if you have any questions about the upcoming workshops or anything today. Do segments and scenarios come up frequently in AI evals? Segments, yes, for sure, because the output of LLM or agentic workflow can be drastically different from one user to another. It's not just the output, it's how they respond to it too. So like their inputs are going to change, but also like something that I might be totally cool with as an output, Hi may be like, this sucks. Like so we have my day job, right? Like we have there's like a spectrum of like lawyers that we work with. Like some are gonna be like, yeah, this is like uh resonates well with like my style, and other ones be like, yeah, this isn't my style at all. So segmenting by like by user persona is definitely a big thing. We kind of talked a little bit about it when we went through the AI quality metrics and we had like the customer support question and the finance question, but segmenting is like a really important diagnostic part of it. Scenarios, could you tell me more what you mean by scenarios? Shruti, thanks for joining. I think Yuri bounced, but if you watched the recording, thanks for coming. Hi, did you think of any questions?
I think generally I'm curious about kind of like the audience here. What's your biggest struggle in the whole AI eval space?
I'll answer Rodian's. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, so I apologize if I'm not. Um, yeah, what's the user trying to accomplish? Buy a ticket, try to get some info, etc. Definitely, definitely. Okay, sweet. Yeah, it's kind of like you know how. Thanks, Jagan. Um, Happy to help. Rod, all right. Okay, Rod. So yeah, scenarios, right? People have different expectations for different products. So, for instance, some products, it's going to be like if you have like, yeah, let's take your example here, buying a ticket. If you have an agentic workflow that like You want to go in there and say, "Hey, I'm trying to plan a trip to XYZ. Find me the best ticket." You know my preferences. Like I like to get there early, or I like to roll up late, or I want to go when the airport's quiet, or I don't like connections or whatever. You kind of want that to really kind of one shot it because, or maybe like ask you a couple follow-ups, but like if it takes too long or if it gives you a bunch of wrong tickets, um, you're just like, I could have done this myself by now. But then there's other things like, I don't know, when I interact with like ChatGPT or like Claude Code, and it kind of gets me like 60% of the like 30% of the way there, and I talk to it some more, and now I'm like 40, 50, 70% of the way there. I'm like, hey, that's pretty good. That's like 70% is good. And so like it definitely matters like what the use case is in terms of like how you're going to be building those eval metrics. Some you're going to want to have like a wide spread of different um, error rates, different error rate metrics. Some it's going to be really just focused on like what was that like kind of completion rate like. Um, yeah, that's a great question. We'll definitely talk about that in the cohort in terms of like how do we think of things for like specific use cases. There's going to be kind of like we're also going to have like a lot of time where it's like just talking about what people are building themselves. So some of the projects will be like reflections and like your own work as well, so we can get like into the specifics of your use case. Any other stuff? Yeah, I know Hi said, I don't know if there's anything that people like are really struggling with. What tools are you using for annotations or analysis? Okay, this is a very good question. So first, our podcast thing we do, Data Neighbor, that I think Hi dropped on YouTube earlier. We're doing this other series, pretty cool. We're interviewing all these CEOs of these AI evals tools, like CEO of Brain Trust. We're talking to like a senior director of product at Rise. We talked to their head of one of their heads of product back in August, talking to CEO of Traceloop, Composo, Prompt Layer. So there's a lot, and I think we got a few more on the docket too. But I think a lot of these tools, something that I have found, like doing annotations, like these tools are really good at like getting you the trace and like helping you instrument the data of like all the different steps within like your LLM calls and like the agentic workflows. They're really good at kind of once you have the annotations in place and you've created like your different like error analysis dimensions, they're really good at helping you kind of iterate on prompts to like turn it into like LM as a judge or scale it a bit. Annotations thing, I think a lot of these things are missing. The annotations, from the way I see it, in order for a subject matter expert to annotate the output of uh, AI, especially when the AI output is effectively the product itself, the user interface they have to go through should really reflect the same user interface that the product has for the user. So I've tried to build annotations through those products. A lot of it's like kind of like columns and rows in a spreadsheet. And I've also tried to do annotations in like a Google Sheet before. And it's really a lot of cognitive load for the subject matter expert. So I can tell you like a couple of examples. One is like if there's two blocks of text, like the output and then of our AI output, and then like our kind of like golden standard output, like what the user wants. Um, in these tools, like or in like a Google Sheets or something, it's like just huge blocks of text, and like 95% of the time, the subject matter expert has to just decipher like what the difference is, and only 5% of the time probably are they saying like why it's good or bad. And so a very simple way to create a custom like annotation around this, like is which is what's reflected like more in like products is like if you like have like red lines for like the differences, just like when you're like in a Google Doc and you have like the suggested edits and you have like the red lines and then the green additions. That's not gonna be these products. That's like a pretty big one for annotation comparison. But what I've done and colleagues I've done worked with is basically vibe coded custom annotation UIs. It's really, really pretty easy. We're gonna do a workshop on it in March, I think, and we'll go into it in the course too. And in the course, I'm going to provide a repo that has like a few key examples of custom annotation tools. But you basically can make the back end pretty reliably. Like all it has to do is like read data, annotate, write data. Like those are pretty three simple things to code in the back end. And then like I don't know shit about front end development, but like you can vibe code all that kind of thing pretty easily. It's pretty amazing how you can make your own custom UIs. Another example is like chat or something. Like you really can't annotate chat well in these annotation tools or in a Google Sheet or something because there's so many turns in the conversation. You just can't really accurately flatten it out into a bunch of like rows and stuff. So that's another really good one where you can like vibe code a custom annotation UI where your subject matter expert can come in and actually be chatting with the product as with just like a user would with the product, but then on the side have like an annotation kind of box where they can like say like, oh, this response wasn't quite right. And if I connect back up to this response earlier, you can see it's like diverges from the conversation. So that's my take. Yeah, and hi, drop the link in the chat there to our upcoming session on building custom annotation tools. That answer your question, Alexander? Cool, cool. I can stay for like 14 more minutes, and then I gotta hop. But any other questions? Yeah, I think Hi had a good one around questions for the audience. Like, it's like, what's the biggest challenge right now? You know, trying to think of what the biggest challenge for me right now is. Finding the time, I think. It's like just moving so fast. Like building product is like feels like a lot faster and cheaper now with all like the productivity tools. But then like it's like you gotta find that time to set up the entire evaluation workflow, but it's really worth the investment. When in my day job, like I probably spent 3 or 4 months iterating on our AI evals, like pipeline testing out different quality metrics, relating them back to customer value and business outcomes before I could get all those weights and then really figure out the suite. And it honestly wasn't until that was all set up and did all like that kind of like early investment that I was able to be like, okay, now I can actually analyze the data and say, like, oh, it's not working for this segment or that segment, or like, oh, we need to get to this goal. Um, but once you have that all set up, it's pretty cool. Cool. All right, I'm gonna give it 2 more minutes. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Stay longer. Figure out what are the bottlenecks in AI EVLs. Yeah, yeah. Sweet Dom Dom. Awesome. Hope to see you in some of the other ones. Um, Rod, yeah. Common bottlenecks. I mean, instrumentation's a big bottleneck, for sure. Instrumentation and tracking is a big bottleneck. Um, I think agreeing on like what customer value means is a big bottleneck. There's a lot of the custom annotation tool is a big bottleneck too, actually. Yeah, annotation tooling and instrumentation, I think are like the two biggest ones. Just getting started also is like a big hard thing to do. It's like the first step's kind of hard. But that's a good question. I'll think about that a little more thoughtfully. If you want to DM me on LinkedIn or something, or email me just to remind me, and I can like think about it a bit more. Nice. And then there's oh, nice. Yeah, that link that Chitana put in there around redesigning product metrics for AI evals. It's kind of like I'd say it's kind of like the higher level version of this. We went into a little more details here. Where do AI PMs hang out? Where do they hang out? Oh yeah, this is good. Can't find any communities. This workshop's awesome, by the way. Um, okay. Where did AI PMs hang out? Man, yeah, some are at Lenny's. What? I'm trying to think of like communities to talk to people. I mean, hi, I feel like you've met a lot of people going to kind of different conferences and dinners and stuff in San Francisco that we brought onto the podcast. I live in Tahoe. I don't hang out with anyone, man. I hang out with the bears and the coyotes.
They're everywhere here in San Francisco. If anyone want to drop by, I can intro you guys. So, but just certainly it's geo specific, I would say. There's a lot of in-person events if you're in the proximity in the Silicon Valley. I would say outside of that, it's probably a hit or miss.
Slack groups, forums, Substack, there's a lot of AI PMs writing on Substack. If you basically go to Lenny's and go watch Lenny's podcast, see their guests, or go to Maven and look up the people on Maven who are doing like AI product management work, and then you just like look up those people's names on Substack, they all have like pretty awesome newsletters, and I think there's like some good community in the comments there, and a lot of them are like super awesome. Respond like we've had a bunch on our podcast before, like super responsive. They're like, yeah, I'll talk to you. Um, I guess that'd be my advice. I don't have like a link to a Slack group, but I mean, we should create one for this maybe. Maybe we'll create like a Slack group or like Discord or something, and I can send that out. All right, I'll do that next week. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll make a Slack group. I'll email everyone who came to this with it. That'll be cool.
I think it would be also really cool to perhaps in one of the future either lessons or incorporate in the course to bring in some AI PMs.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay. We've had some pretty good ones on our podcast that we could probably bring in. And some other folks we've just talked to that have been kind of helping us with this. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some people like Aman Khan's really good to follow. Colin Matthews, those were two we had in the pod that are like super responsive, and they have really good Maven courses. Yeah, we'll try to bring someone in for either a lightning lesson or and definitely in the full cohort. But Aman Khan, it's like head of product at Arise. It's like that AI evals platform. Yeah. That dude's pretty cool. He did a Lenny's episode too. It's really good. Definitely worth a listen. Um, all right, hang out a bit more. Got 7 minutes. Nice, already following perfectly. Perfect. What else? Other questions? What are you guys up to this weekend? I'm gonna try that pizza thing I told you about. Then like, gonna try that peel thing I eventually got. Try and make some pizzas in the pizza oven for some friends. What else should we talk about? Ski class. Oh, hell yeah. Where'd you say you're from again, Alexander? Austria. Man, I've never skied in Europe. We have our snow's so rough right now. It hasn't snowed for 3 weeks in Tahoe. Been getting out, but um oh, you're just watching. Okay. Okay. Um okay. Rod has some AI evals thing. Yeah, like I said, I could talk about skiing and snowboarding for all day, but for Rod's question around structured output in your work or chat or combined. Yeah, so in my work, I work more. It's like my day job. Um, it's more structured output, I would say. We do have yeah, thanks. Hi. I'll see you later. We have chat product too. So Um, I would say the structured output really lends it well to like that completion rate thing where you have like a scale of 0 to 1. How close did I get to what the user actually wanted, or to acceptance rates? And then I would say the chat stuff is a lot more of that error analysis. You really do have to do a lot of that with the chat kind of stuff. Anything multi-turn. Um, Same thing with like agentic workflows too, because you have to really look at like all the different steps that are going on and kind of like check out errors between all those. The structured stuff is easier because you can kind of go like, all right, what was the input? What's the output? What's the ground truth? And you'll want to have those other metrics also, but they're more like diagnostic to when you see like, oh my like my completion rate is quite low. Can I figure out why it is? Um, yeah, something like chat or like anything multi-turn or multi-step, you're gonna want more of those kind of error analysis ones. We'll go over like, yeah, each of those though in the cohort for sure. Great question. Oh, I haven't tried this. BoundaryML.com. I'm just pulling it up on my other screen. Oh, first language for building agents. Okay, I want to check this out. Thanks for sharing this. I haven't tried it. Okay, I think I'm gonna call it, guys, because my dog is barking like crazy out there. I don't know if you can hear her. And I have another meeting in 4 minutes, so I gotta figure out why she's barking. But this was pretty fun, and you guys had some great questions. Um, yeah, I'll send out the recording. Check out AIeval.ai for the course. Check out dataneighbor.com for all the other free workshops. Hit me up with an email if you got any questions, or hit me up on LinkedIn. And yeah, this was fun. We all got something out of it. Talk to you later. Thanks, everyone. Oh, email. Let me drop it in the chat right now. It's Sean, spelled Shane, at AIeval.ai. Here you go. Cool. I'll stay on for 10 seconds in case anyone needs to copy the email. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Hope to talk to you soon. Bye.